So it is 9, and as you can see, we had this big impulse break to the upside, break a structure, and then this would be the lows. Those would be here. We only trade from 8 a.m., 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. as you can see. So we've got a break structure to the upside. It's then created this low. It's created this most recent low, but I'd want it to test these highs. I'd want it to test these highs or trade away and then break structure. And then I'd be looking for sales. But yeah, that is what I'd be looking for, because we could just have a repeat of yesterday. Nice continuation, and it just trades above. I'm not saying this trade was bad, but it was a continuation trade, right? It was still was still part of this push, this type of push. And then as you can see, it traded away, and then it created this low, created this high, and then come back, broke structure, and then went higher. And then as you can see, this was all part of the same continuation, this whole thing, and then it continued on, and then eventually reversed. But yeah, what I'd be looking for is a test of these highs, or if it does break structure like this, I'd want to retest it, and then I'd be looking for sales on a second retest. But yeah, that is it for now. I'll give an update if price closes beneath structure, or if I'm looking to take the trade, or so on. But yeah, right now, see how it plays out, see what's going on, and then I'll make my decision off of that. See, so this trade here, as you can see, it had a nice break structure to the downside, big bearish candle, and then followed by another bearish candle, and price has traded up with this big impulse candle. And if I was actually in the trade, so if I entered here, 2 pips would be, so near enough enter on the break, 2 pip stop loss, so 6.7. I'll still be in the trade, I think. 0.8 spread. So yeah, would just about be in the trade. But this is what I was kind of waiting for. I was waiting for, as you see, the break, and then what I'd be looking for a continuation of sales would obviously be this break, and then a retest done. And then I'd be looking for sales, because highs created this low, lows created this high, highs created this new low, lows created a high, tested the highs, wicked above it again, failed to close above it twice, and then his broker structure to the downside. So yeah, that would give me more signs that, okay, this sell, it might be a sell-off, Same thing as here, to be fair. Break structure to the downside, creates a high, tested the high, not that high, high here, break structure, test of the high once, break structure to the downside, enter sells, take price lower. And if you see here, you had these highs, break structure to the downside, tested the highs, and then after the first test, it literally just closed above, and then it went lower. And then as you can see, it didn't even test highs, it just traded straight above it. So the test of the high does, not at that I use wicks, but wicks do show a strong confirmation of things sometimes, or it gives you like an extra confidence. Like for example here, all these wicks here. So if you say this is the high, right? And you're seeing these wick rejections, wick, 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 struggling to close above this high. So now that's the high for me. So then if it creates this low, what I'm looking for is it to test the high, break again. Tested highs tested, one, two, three times, broke structure to the downside, and then I'd be looking to enter, something like that. In this situation, it wouldn't have obviously won, but that's kind of what I'd be looking for, basically. And then here, as you can see, this is the high, wick rejections all here, break structure to the downside, creates low. This is now the new high, and I'd be looking to enter around here, take price low, and then that would have worked. So the wick projection is just like an extra, for me anyway, extra little confluence, you know. Here, there was the high. You had this one wick projection, so not really that much. But if this wick came up to here and tested it, then I'd be looking for sells. But this is the highest point. No wick rejections really. But then if you look across, price tested London session high, wick rejection, and then from them two wick rejections, it then had broke this most recent low, because this is the low that created this high in the first place. Had that break of the most recent low, so that's something I'd look out for. Most recent low, now been taken. It's retested in with this long wick. So now it's filled the imbalance. The imbalance would have been from here to here. So it's filled the imbalance. So there's no reason for it to push back up now because it's filled the imbalance, broke structure of the most recent low, and it's tested the highs. Okay, so now that's strong signs of reversal. Tested, come here, bullish candle creates this low, and then I'd be looking for sells like this, you know, 1 to 3. Stop loss will be 8 pips, like that, and then be targeting at 1 to 3. Price wouldn't have hit, but yeah, you get the idea. It would have got to 19 pips, so 2.5 R basically, and then it would reversed. But yeah, that's kind of the trades I'm looking for. As you can see here, you had these lows here. This is all a continuation move because as you can see, it's just continuing, you know. If you go on a higher time frame, this probably should be one candle. And it also, the reason why it is a continuation is because there's no pullbacks, you know, there's no, like, for example, creates a new low and then trades away and then goes lower. I wouldn't really know how to fully explain when it's traded away or a continuation, but this to me would be a pullback of some sort. Whereas this to me and this is not, this is a continuation. You know, it's just continuing on to the downside. And then here you have a nice pullback and then a break. You know, so when you have this low, nice pullback and then a break, it should continue on to the downside. Struggle to do so. And then as you can see, when it retested back in 4 sells, this area that's just been broken started to hold. You know, this area is wicked into numerous times. And now the area that people are looking for buys, and then as you can see, it held this area for a bit and then instantly shot up. So yeah, interesting. Interesting stuff. But yeah, right now what we're looking for is a break structure of this low. See if we can get that in the next 30 minutes and an entry. If it was to break this low, stop loss. So 10.3, 12.3 stop loss, like that. And 1 to 3. That's what we'd be looking for. So that's the position we'd be looking for if it was a break structure. But yeah, it's got about 25 minutes, 30 minutes. And if something happens, then we're done for the day. No trade. But hopefully it does get, we do have a breaker structure, you know, would be a nice trade. You know, it's tested these highs here. And it's looks like it's going to continue to the downside. You know, see if we have any, we don't have anything down here to be fair. You know, maybe from the previous week. Yeah, the previous week we had a very big expansion to the upside on Wednesday, you know, big break to the upside. So I've been looking for sales back to back Monday and Tuesday now. So TP makes sense, you know, sweep of Asian session of Thursday, because Thursday Asian session was never broken. Not that any of this actually matters, but I'm just giving you like a, what's the word? Hypothesis. I can't even say it, but hypothetically speaking is the best way to put it. You know, this high created this low, this low then created this low, then created this high then created this low then created this high then created this low. So these three lows here, not that I do this, but if you're thinking about a trend line, clear trend line liquidity. So these lows don't have to, but they should be, or it is a draw of liquidity because this is where liquidity would be, you know, stop losses beneath that low, stop losses beneath this low, stop losses beneath this low. So TP being here would make sense, you know, because price could just keep going down, you know, break straight through and take all the liquidity. Plus, there's a big bullish move here, you know, imbalance that hasn't been filled, you know, because price traded into it here, you could say the imbalance from here to be exact, and that's about 26 pips, nothing crazy, you know. So it could be an area that is filled this week, but if it's not, or if it is, doesn't really matter. But yeah, that is just my opinion. But yeah, that is price right now, looking for this break. If it doesn't break this, what we could see is we could see low create high, high create this high low, and then it could continue to the upside, you know, carrying on that bullish momentum type of thing, you know, because there probably is a lot more liquidity to the upside right now. You know, you got this high, this high, this high, these highs, these double tops. Double tops also have a lot of liquidity, you know, because people would have sold when they got back to this high, or you know, if they're order block traders, they would have marked up like that, and then mark up the most recent high. They would have marked up like that, gone on a lower time frame, looked for a change of character, entered for sales. Would have been a decent sell. So yeah, that could be another area people could be looking for. But yeah, I'm just showing you everything and just giving you a rundown of what people might be thinking, you know. Doesn't mean it's all factual, you should take it as gospel, but just my opinion of what I've seen before. But yeah, got about 20 minutes to see if price breaks structure to the downside. I highly doubt it, but I'm just gonna wait and see what happens. And if it does, great. If it doesn't, then that's just another day. You know, it's always gonna be another trade, another day. So it's not that much of a biggie. But yeah, we'll give an update if anything happens in the next 20 minutes. And this is a perfect example of why I didn't enter until there was that second break, because as you can see, price created this high. Looked like it was going to break to the downside. You could say it kind of consolidated, went sideways for 15, 10 minutes, and now it's pushed up to the outside. you know? So yeah, that is me done for the day. Trades, well, still got 30, 40 seconds left. So can just wait it out. But yeah, no trade today. Pretty shit price action to be honest. You know, yeah, pretty shit price action to be fair. Thursday, I should have caught this trade, to be fair. Not necessarily this one, but this one. This trade, yeah, would have made sense to enter on this break structure candle, but this one to me would have made more sense. I don't think this one would have hit TP, but it would have made more sense to me anyway. What was it? 5.5 stop loss is 7.5, and then 1 to 3. Oh, it would have hit. That's cool. But yeah, that's up. Would have made more sense to me. Wednesday, Wednesday, nah, there wasn't really a setup for me. Pretty sure I did take a trade on Wednesday and lose it, to be fair, but shouldn't have taken a trade. Yeah. Tuesday, I took a trade. I remember I took a trade from here on this breaker structure candle, which I shouldn't have because look at the price action. Obviously, you don't know that when you enter here, you think it's just going to continue, but I should have defo waited for, you know, another break. So if this is the low, this is the high. I should have defo waited for this low and then a new high, and I should have been looking for to enter once this break had happened, which it did. Something like this, and enter here of some sort. But as you can see, it would have been 10, so I probably would have missed this trade. Nah, I would have probably got in here on this candle here, 950. Would have still lost, but to me that would have been a trade that made more sense. Then Monday, yeah, there would have been no trade with the way I trade. Obviously, you have this first breaker structure. I would have been looking for the second. So this breaker structure, which didn't happen until 6, which is way out my trading hours. Friday last week, had this high break. Yeah, no, there would have been no entry for me. Thursday, nah, no trade. Mm, Wednesday, I feel like Wednesday I would have taken a trade. Got this break. Oh, that's not a break, is it? Oh, it's a double top. Got this low creates this high, this high then creates this break. And then after that, I'd have probably entered on this break here for 1 to 3. So let's say I entered there. Oh, say I entered there. 4, so 6.3 stop loss and 1 to 3. What time was news? 1:30, so I'd have probably closed at 1. So 1 would have been here, so I'd have, yeah, about 1 hour, near enough 2 hour. But yeah, that's where I'd have closed it for. Tuesday, yeah, break structure to the downside. I would wait for a test of the highs or pull back into the area and then a continuation, but there wasn't really that. But if I was to enter for this, it would have been entering here and I lost within 5 minutes. Monday, break structure to the upside. Nothing really came to test it, really. I'd be looking for it to be coming back to test it, come back to test it, and then break structure to the downside. So Monday would have been no trade. So it would have been, what, 2, 3 trades that week. But yeah, August August been a pretty shit month to be fair, but that makes sense because it's summer holidays and so on. and it is 10:04 now. As you can see, price has broken these highs, as you can see with that candle there. So that trade will have lost. And it looks like it's going on to break them highs up there. But yeah, that is me done for the day. So Monday, a loss of minus 0.86% if I can remember correctly. Tuesday, no trade. So we'll come back on Wednesday and yeah, we'll see how Wednesday goes.